These days are filled with action around the Starship rocket, especially during this Flight 8 campaign. There have been multiple delays, and even a scrub just before launch. But you know what they say? Beautiful things take time, and we can only hope that this all leads to the best launch yet. Today, everything seems to be going perfectly, and SpaceX has made an official statement regarding the launch and its scheduled time, which we will discuss in this video. Before we delve any deeper, please make sure to subscribe to our channel for future updates on Starship and SpaceX's other groundbreaking achievements. Many of us are still feeling the sting of Starship's scrubbed launch attempt earlier this week. The mission was originally scheduled to launch on March 3rd, with great anticipation from space enthusiasts worldwide. However, just before liftoff, SpaceX had to call off the attempt due to a detected issue that could have led to mission failure. The problem was later identified by Musk as pressure instability, an issue that arose during the fuel transfer process from the tanks to the engines. To understand why this is a critical problem, let's break it down. Rocket engines rely on a precise balance of fuel and oxidizer to generate the necessary thrust. For Starship, these propellants are stored in large cryogenic tanks at extremely low temperatures, liquid methane and liquid oxygen. These fuels need to be transferred from the tanks to the Raptor engines at precisely controlled pressure levels. If the pressure is too low, the engines won't receive enough fuel to operate efficiently, which can cause the engine thrust to drop below the required level for liftoff. Similarly, if the pressure is too high, it could lead to structural failures or even explosions. Musk suggested that the issue likely occurred due to an instability in the pressure regulation system during this fuel transfer. This instability meant that the engines were not getting consistent and adequate fuel flow, preventing them from reaching the necessary power levels for a safe launch. The SpaceX team attempted multiple adjustments to stabilize the pressure in real time, but despite their best efforts, they couldn't resolve the issue before the launch window closed. Given the risks associated with unstable engine performance, the difficult decision was made to scrub the launch entirely. After the scrub, SpaceX wasted no time in addressing the problem. Engineers immediately began investigating the root cause, which required a thorough inspection of multiple components in both the Super Heavy booster and Ship 34. To perform these inspections effectively, SpaceX needed to destack the vehicle, meaning they had to separate Ship 34 from Booster 15. With the vehicle now destacked, the real work began. The primary focus was on the venting system, which is responsible for maintaining stable pressure levels throughout the fueling process. Venting is crucial in rockets because as cryogenic fuels are loaded, they expand and contract due to temperature changes. Without proper venting mechanisms, pressure imbalances can occur, leading to either excessive pressure buildup or dangerous fuel shortages. Engineers examined this system, fine-tuning its ability to regulate pressure in real time. This may involve upgrading valves, refining software-controlled pressure regulation, or even adding additional venting pathways to ensure smooth and stable fueling. To further improve reliability, additional pressure sensors may be installed in critical areas. These sensors will allow SpaceX to monitor real-time pressure levels more effectively, preventing similar issues in future launches. Beyond the booster, there is also the possibility of additional concerns with Ship 34 itself. While no specific issues have been confirmed, some experts speculate that the problem could be linked to either the engine system or fuel tanks of the upper stage. Ship 34 has already had performance inconsistencies in its previous flight, where it did not complete all mission objectives successfully. In response, SpaceX announced a new launch date, initially targeting March 5th, with a backup window on March 6th if additional work was needed. However, the March 5th launch did not happen as planned, prompting SpaceX to extend their preparations. The delay was due to additional checks and final adjustments needed to ensure that the venting and pressure systems were fully optimized. Now all eyes are on today's attempt. At the launch site in Starbase, Texas, teams have been making final preparations for liftoff. Ship 34 is fully stacked on Booster 15, and pre-flight validations are underway. Fueling and pressurization tests are being conducted to confirm that the previous issue has been fully resolved, and a countdown rehearsal has already been completed. Mission Control is closely monitoring all critical systems for stability. SpaceX is also waiting for final clearance from the Federal Aviation Administration to ensure regulatory approval for the test flight. Meanwhile, weather conditions are being closely watched as wind speeds and upper atmosphere conditions play a crucial role in launch safety. Road closures around Starbase indicate that SpaceX is moving forward with today's attempt, pending a final go-no-go decision from the mission team. If everything proceeds smoothly, Starship Flight 8 could finally take off within the next few hours. However, as with all test flights, there's still the possibility of another delay if engineers detect any last-minute concerns. While SpaceX is focused on launching the massive Starship rocket, it is also making progress with other missions. Recently, a Falcon 9 rocket launched a lunar lander, successfully sending it to the moon as part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services program. This mission is important because it helps NASA gather data about the lunar surface, which will be useful for future human missions under the Artemis program. The launch took place on February 23, 2025 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. After several days of travel, Blue Ghost reached the moon and landed on March 2, 2025. The lander had to navigate and adjust its position in real time to avoid hazardous terrain. This is important because the lunar surface has many craters and uneven areas that could cause a lander to tip over or get damaged. The landing was controlled and precise, showing that Firefly Aerospace's technology worked as expected. After landing, Blue Ghost sent back images showing its position on the moon. The first photo showed the lander's shadow on the surface, confirming that it had landed successfully. Soon after, a video of the landing was released, showing lunar dust rising as the lander's thrusters fired just before touchdown. The mission carries 10 scientific instruments, many of which belong to NASA. One of the experiments is the electrodynamic dust shield, which is testing a new way to prevent dust from covering equipment. Lunar dust is known to be sharp and sticky, which can cause problems for future moon missions, so finding ways to manage it is crucial. Since landing, Blue Ghost has been sending data back to Earth. Within the first 2 days, the amount of transmitted data increased from 27 gigabytes to 57 gigabytes as the instruments began their experiments. The mission is expected to last about 14 Earth days, which is 1 full lunar daytime. Because the lander is not designed to survive the extreme cold of the lunar night, it will stop working once temperatures drop too low. This mission is part of NASA's plan to use commercial companies for lunar exploration instead of developing all the hardware on its own. The goal is to make moon missions faster and cheaper, while also helping private space companies grow. More landers from different companies will be heading to the moon soon using Falcon 9 rocket. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.